Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing well today. Thanks for checking out this video. This is lesson 13 in the Alfred's Basic Adult Piano Course Greatest Hits Level 1 book. We're going to cover pages 25, 26, and 27 from the musical Cats, the song Memory. So once again, welcome back. So glad you're here with me. We're moving ahead in our book here. Not too many, well, we have a few lessons left indeed, but we are here on page 25 and we've got 3 pages in our lesson today. The song Memory, which is probably the most important song, or I should say the most well-known song. Might be important, I don't know. I've never actually seen Cats, but it is the most well-known song from the musical Cats. Some of you may be familiar with it, and for those who aren't, it's a pretty nice piece. Pretty lovely, pretty good arrangement. Like I said, there are 3 pages, so let's go through the outline first. Obviously, starting on page 25. Notice the very first 2 measures, there is a repeat sign that faces, at the end of measure 2, faces to the left. So that means you're going to repeat from the beginning those 2 measures again. So you're playing the first 2 measures twice. And then you're going to go on to verse 1. You can see the lyrics. There's actually 2 verses. So that tells us we're also going to be repeating. Plus, you see at the beginning of the 3rd measure, there is a repeat sign with the dots facing to the right. So that means you're going to be coming back to this point later on in the piece. When you get down to the 4th line, so you got measure 23 at the beginning of that line. Notice the last 4 measures of that line and the first 2 measures of the bottom line is your first ending. So the first time through, you are going to play the last 4 measures on the 4th line, first 2 measures on the bottom line, and then you repeat back up to measure 3. And then you play verse 2. Now, the material is going to be the same. The words are different. So if someone's singing, it's different, but you're going to play the same notes. However, since it's the second time through, when you get to the 4th line, you've got measure 23, 24, 25, 26. So when it has the bracket and a 1, and we call this the first ending, you play that the first time only. But here we're on the second time, so you're going to skip that. You're going to go from the 4th measure on the 4th line straight down to the 3rd measure on the bottom line. And that is your second ending. So you can see there's a bracket with the number 2. Now once you hit that point, you're just going to continue through page 25. Notice at 26, there is a repeat sign with the dots facing to the right. So you're going to be coming back. You can see there's 2 sets of lyrics here as well. When you get all the way through page 27, in fact, you're going to go all the way through the 4th line. Notice on the 4th line, you got measure 94 and then 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Those measures are the first ending only. So you're only going to play those the first time. At the end of that line, you repeat back to page 26, all the way through 26, all the way through 27. When you get to measure 94 on the 4th line, you're going to jump down to measure 101, and then you're going to end the piece. So it's a very busy piece. It's a lot longer with these repeats. And really, like I said, most of the reason for the length is just there's lots of words. There's not a whole lot of variety in the piano part, but there will be some variety between first and second endings. So starting at the beginning of the piece, let's start with the melody in the right hand. We're in 3/4 time. And I don't think there are any 8th notes in this piece. So that's going to simplify things. So you don't even have to count with the ands. So when we get into rhythm, it's just a basic 1, 2, 3. So no need for ands. So rhythm's going to be basic, and that's good because there are a lot of notes, and it gets tricky in places when we put the hands together. So we're going to start with the C, 1 octave above middle C with our 4th finger. So our first note, and it's the melody note in the right hand, is a dotted half note. And then we hit it again in the next measure, and that's tied. So 1, 2, 3, and then tied into beat 1 of the next measure before moving down to B, back to C, and the next measure, D, C, skip down to A, and then back to C. So nothing complicated as far as rhythm or fingering right now. When you get to measure 8, you're on that C again. It's tied for 4 counts. And then in measure 9 on beat 2, you've got B, C, next measure, D, C. Now instead of going to A, you're going down to G. Notice they put your third finger on A in the next measure, and then you move it to 4 on the measure after that. And the reason for this is we're going to be playing some notes further below this A we need fingers for. So in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th measure, on the second line, we got our 4th finger on A. It's tied for 4 counts, and on beat 2 of the next measure, F with your second finger, G, last measure, A, G, F, measure 15, thumb on the E. That is tied for 9 counts. And then when you get to the 4th measure, measure 18, your third finger goes to that E. And again, that's so you can get some notes below it. So 2 counts in that E, and then G again in the next measure for 3 counts. The next measure, 2 on D, and then a quarter note, 3 on E. Next measure, notice your thumb comes under, so it's like you're doing a scale passage. So you've got D, E, and then that thumb comes under, and right there. Now bring the rest of your hand over. So you got 1 on F, and then 2 on G. Your last measure, 3 on A, 4 on B. And on the 4th line, measure 23, we've got C, B, A, G for 6 counts. When you get to the 4th measure, your thumb normally would play that E, but you need to place middle C below that. So you're going to jump to the 3rd finger on E. Now you've got your thumb for middle C. And you're going to have to use your weaker fingers, so curve them to hit F and G on the first ending there. Those first 2 measures of the first ending is F and G tied for 6 counts. And then you're going to go to a low A. Now you got rests on beats 1 and 2. The A comes on beat 3. You hit it again in the next measure. 1, 2, and then B. And then measure 31 on the bottom line, middle C for 6 counts. Now, you're going to repeat. 3rd measure, top line, jump way up, C with the 4th finger. So you may have to practice 3rd finger on middle C, 4th finger on C above that. You may have to practice that leap a bunch. So now it all repeats. Since it repeats the same, let's do the rhythm, because it's pretty basic. I'll give us a count off. Just the right hand. We'll stop when we get to the second ending. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, when you get to the second ending, it's still F and G like the first ending with 4 and 5. So we got it for 3 counts, and then the next 2 measures, you hit it again, you tie it for 6 counts. So a little bit longer this time. Then that 3rd to last measure, drop down to the thumb on A. But this time it's on beat 1, not beat 3. Beat 3, you have a B. And then we end the page with 3rd finger on C, which is tied for 6 counts. Okay? So that takes care of the right hand on the first page. Let's go to page 26. Now it says faster. We'll ignore that for now. Your second finger is going to be on B. I think, what did we just end on? Okay, perfect. Your third finger was on C, so 2 on B makes perfect sense. Notice these are all dotted half notes for a little while, so I'll just call out the notes. You got 2 on B, 5 on E, 2 on B, thumb on A, 2 on B, 5 on E, 2 on B, thumb on A, 2 on B, and then 5 on E, and one more time. So notice there was a little bit of a pattern there, right? B, E, B, A, and it does it again. B, E, B, A, and then B, E, and it just stays on the E. So on the second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth measure in, we now move to 4 on D, and then C back to D for 3 counts, and D again, tied for 6 counts, taking us down into the third line. Measure 54, you got 2 quarter rests on beats 1 and 2, jump to the third finger on G. And then the next measure, keep that third finger there at the G, add your thumb on E for 3 counts. You do that again in the next measure for 3 counts, and one more time for a quarter note in the next measure. And then 5 on B. Now this B is tied, but the tie is a dashed line. There's an asterisk there. It says at the bottom, tie the first time only. The reason is, look at the words for verse 1. On this B, you have the ters of mutters, and you're holding it to the next B. But on the second verse, that B starts another word on the next measure. It starts of another. So that's why it's tied the first time, broken the second time. Now, since you're doing piano solo and no one's singing, I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, we'll honor it, of course, but if you were to accidentally tie it or not tie it, it's not going to ruin the piece by any means. And even if you had a singer, it would be easier for them, right? Because they got the words. They have to sing the words or hold the words. So if you accidentally broke it and they still sung something what they're supposed to, it would sound fine too. So mere details to be technically correct, but you know, if you accidentally hold it, it's fine. So, like I said, that 5 is on B, but then notice you have to move 5 to A. This is the second to last measure, beat 2 on the third line. So yes, you're going to have to jump down. It's not smooth, but that's okay. And then you have 4 on G, and then that puts 1 and 3 on D and F sharp for 3 counts. Now stay on the F sharp with your third finger. You're going to go measure 60. You're going to go down to C sharp and F sharp. Now, look where my thumb is. It's on D. So kind of be up into it a little more so that I can move my thumb easily to C sharp. So if I'm down here on the D, I got to move a lot further, right? That takes a little bit longer. So play into the keys if you can. So that C sharp and F sharp is 2 counts. You rest on beat 3 and then stay there because you got D and F sharp again. But it's only for 1 beat, and then 5 on A. The A is tied for 5 counts. It's on beats 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. And then you rest on counts 1 and 2 in the next measure. Jump, thumb on G. Next measure, G and B. So that's 1 and 3. G and B again for a quarter note. Next measure, G and B for a dotted half note. 2 and 4. Look at my 2 and 4. It's already on A and C sharp. That's finger work, though. It's going to take some strength, but let the fingers move for you. And then measure 67, F sharp and D. So again, if I'm down here on the A and F sharp, look at my thumb, way out here. Be aiming ahead of time if you can for F sharp here with your thumb. So you can get F sharp and D a little bit easier. Now in 67, 68, and 69 on the bottom line, those 3 measures, the F sharp is tied. What happens with the top note is you've got D for 3 counts, and then it moves to 2 on A, which is tied for 6 counts. But during that, the F sharp is tied all the way through. The 4th measure is a whole rest. And then the next measure where it says a tempo, we're back to the original theme from the first page. So this repeats. I bet it's all going to repeat. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Let me give you a count off. How about that? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's stop right there at the first ending. So I believe, I will check real quick. I believe all of that repeats. It looks like it does. Forgive me if something was missed, but from what I can tell, every bit of that was a repeat. Now, it's a little different. The first ending on the first page had F and G for 6 counts. Here it's for 3 counts and then again for 6 counts. So starting on the first ending, here on page 27, we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's actually a lot like the second ending, isn't it? It is the second ending, basically, of page 25. So that does repeat the second ending, but this is the first ending, so don't get it confused. At the end of this line, 95, 96, 97, 98, end of measure 100, you're going to repeat all the way back to page 26. Now, we won't do that now. When you get to page 27, second time through, you get to measure 94. You've got 3 on E, thumb on C. You're going to go down to the second ending, which is also F and G once again. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this is totally new. Notice you got 4 on F, 5 on G. You're going to bring the thumb to the F and the third finger to A. It's a big jump. Be ready for it. Now you got a long tie and you got half notes and pedal in the left hand, so we can make it work. So you're going to jump to 1 and 3 for 2 counts. And then you're going to have your 4th finger on B, and then 1 and 5 on E and C. That is tied for 6 counts. And then you have E and C again, but see it says 8 VA. You're going to do that locked hand position and bring it up here. And there's a fermata, so you can sit on it for a while. So that basically covers the right hand. Now, I didn't do the counting on page 26. Let's go ahead and do that, because the first part of 26 is easy, dotted half notes, but then it gets into some quarter rests and things like that. So, top of page 26. And we'll stop when we get to a tempo at the bottom of 26, because that's the familiar theme that we went through earlier and is a repeat from the beginning. Make sure second finger's on B, not the thumb. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you notice in measure 68, they made a mistake. That should be a dotted half note. So if you want, if that's confusing you and thinking there's only 2 beats in the measure, you can put 2 little dots there to the right of the F sharp and the A. But it is indeed 3 counts still in a measure. You can see there's 3 counts in the right hand. And it would only make sense that there's 3 in the, 3 in the left hand. It would only make sense that there's 3 in the right hand as well, especially since it's tied. That takes care of the right hand. Let's go to the beginning and look at left hand. Now the left hand kind of is, in and out, bob and weave a little bit. It is often a broken chord. Now the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 measures of the song is a C chord. And remember, the first 2 measures repeat, so it's even longer. But if you are in the C chord position, 5 on C, 3 on E, and thumb on G, you've already outlined the first 5 measures. So look at measure 1, C, E, G. Measure 2 is E, G, E. We repeat C, E, G, and then E, G, E. Measure 3 and 4 are the same. C, E, G, E, G, E, C. So what your right hand's doing is left hand's doing is playing 4 measures. Remember, it's 2 measures repeated, so it's 4 measures of introduction before the melody comes in. So your left hand will do this. Which is very lovely, especially when you use the pedal, which I'm doing now. I'm cheating. I'm going ahead and using pedal. And then I add the right hand. Plus I'm playing soft and slow, so a lot of things that make it work. We're going to hold off on the pedal to the very end, though. So when you get to measure 5, notice there's a C and then it's off. You can be off with the pedal too, but we'll get into that later. When you get to, excuse me, measure 7, last measure, here's your outline. Now this is an A minor chord, A, C, and E, but it's inverted. The E is here. Here's A, here's C. This is your outline though. These are the notes you're going to be playing for the next 3 measures. So you got E, A, C, measure 8, A, C, A, E. So you've gone from this outline to this outline. Fingering's a little different, right? 5, 2, and 1. You're going to rest on beats 2 and 3 of measure 9. You're going to rest all of measure 10. Measure 11, F chord. Now it's not too hard because look, you're almost there. You played E, A, and C. Now you're just going to bring your 5th finger up 1 note. F, A, and C. Here's your outline. So you got F, A, C, next measure, A, C, A, F, and then rest, rest, and then another measure of rest. Now, measure 15, it's not an E minor chord, but it is this E minor chord position. 5, 3 on G, thumb on B. The notes are E, B, A, G, A, B, E. There's a pattern there, right? It starts with E, and then it goes B, A, G, A, B, E. See the pattern? So that last E is 3 counts, then you have a rest. So you notice a pattern here. There's a large or a long rest or series of rests between chord changes. Now when you get to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th measure in D minor, D, F, A, and you end it with F for 2 counts. Rest, and then it's D, F, B, and then the 4th finger, circle this one. This one sneaks up on you. You want to move the 4th finger to F because you're preparing for measure 23. Now your 5 is on E, 2 is on A, thumb on C. Next measure, we have 2 on B, and then C. Next measure, 3 on A. So now it's sort of getting out of those chords a little bit. Well, that's a chord there, but B, C, A is not a chord. We have a whole measure of rest, and then the first ending. First ending, left hand is down on D. Not really a chord. I mean, it is a chord, but we won't get into this. It's not an obvious chord. D with your 5th finger, F, G, A. It's actually a D minor chord with this added 4th. Again, we won't get into details. But that's your hand position for this at the beginning of that first ending. D, F, A, G, D, F, G, A, and then big drop, 5 on G. You can leave early because you'll have the pedal. You got to rest on beat 3, and then you're going to hop up to 2 on F, thumb on G, and then measure 31, C chord, C, E, G, C. So when I say C chord, it means the outline. You're obviously not going to play a block chord. So the left hand jumps around a little bit there at the first ending. So that's going to get tricky when you put the hands together. It all repeats, of course. When you get to measure 23, on the 4th line, you got 5 on E, 2 on A, thumb on C, 2 on B, C, and then A. Jump down to the, well, you have a rest, a whole measure of rest. And then you jump down to the second ending, 5 on D, F, G, A. So this is a repeat of the first ending where you drop down to low G and then bring 2 up to F, G, and then, so the left hand is exactly the same. It's actually exactly the same as the first ending. Now on page 26. Actually, let's do the rhythm. I know part of this is going to actually be a little bit easier, make a little more sense, I should say, hands together, but I want to make sure we get the left hand rests in there. Those rests are important. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and we're going to go through it with the counting. So 1, 2, we're going to repeat these first 2 measures. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. First ending, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's stop there because the repeat's the same and then the second ending is even the same. 30 minutes in the video, I just realized, oh yeah, we're in the key of C. I didn't ever mention the key signature. I think you guys probably figured it out at this point. I don't think, was there any accidentals? Yeah, there's a couple of there's sharps on the other page. Okay. But we are in the key of C, so no sharps or flats in the key signature. Let's go on to page 26 with our left hand. So you're kind of in the C position again. You're not playing a C chord, but your third finger is on E and your thumb's going to be on G at measure 39. So we got E, G, E, G, E, G, and then 5 and 2 on C and F. That's tied for 4 counts. In the next measure on beat 2, thumb on G, 2 on F, and then you repeat all this in the next measure. E, G, E, G, E, G. Once again, C and F. Tied for 4 counts. Measure 46, beat 2, thumb on G, F, and then once again in measure 47, E, G, E, G, E, G. Next measure, we outline the C chord. C, E, G, and then D and F sharp. 4 on the D, 2 on the F sharp. Next measure, slide that 2 to G. Thumb up to B. Back to 2 on G. Next measure, the last measure of the line, 5 on D. 2 on G. Thumb on B. Measure 53, 2 on G. F sharp with the third finger. Then quarter rest, next measure. Fourth finger should be on E. E, G, B, next measure. D, G, B, and then C sharp. 2 to G. Thumb on A. C sharp, rest, rest, and then 5 on D. F sharp, A. Measure 60, repeat. D, F sharp, A. Next measure, D. 2 on G, thumb on B. Next measure, D for 3 counts. 4 should be on E, E, G, B, and then D, G, B, C sharp, G, A, 4 on E. Measure 67, D, F sharp, A, F sharp for 2 counts, and then A, D for 2 counts, and then A, and then 3 on F sharp. And then guess what? Yep, a tempo, just like the beginning. So the left hand is going to be the same too. And the left hand is going to stay the same through page 27. When you get to the first ending, it's a repeat of the same notes on the second ending that you had on page 25. Yep, fingering and all. So I won't go over it because it's all the same. So make note, a tempo, page 26, third bottom line, third measure from the end. Both hands repeat exactly what you had at the beginning, minus those first 2 measures of introduction. And when you get to the first ending on page 27, the first ending is exactly the same as the second ending, which is very similar to the first ending too, right, on page 25. Let's jump to measure 101. So when you get to, let's see, the last note you play in the left hand at measure 93, the last measure, page 27 of the third line, you have 3 on A. Measure 101, well, measure 94, you rest. Measure 101, 5 on D, 3 on F, 2 on G, and then thumb on A, 5 on that G, and then you rest. And then you're back to the C position for the last 4 measures of the song. C, E, G, E, G, E, C. And then the pedal will be down and you can drop down. So in the left hand, that goes down the octave. Remember, the right hand went up the octave. Okay? Now, the page 26 is pretty easy rhythmically. At this point, I don't think I need to go through that left hand by itself. I am going to work on the hands together now, though. I'm going to spend some time doing the hands together. This is going to get tricky. And then we're also going to look at the pedaling once we get the hands together. And then finally, we'll look at some dynamics and some other little details. But let's go back to page 25 and let us look at putting the hands together. Okay, so you may notice, you may not notice, but yes, I'm wearing different clothes. It's a different day. So I didn't get to finish the entire lesson when I first started, but that's okay. We are going to now look at hands together. So I'm back on page 25. And of course, the first 2 measures, as I've been saying, are just the left hand. You're going to repeat those. When you start the piece, like any piece, outline both hands. So go ahead and have your 4th finger on the C in the right hand. And we talked about having your left hand outlining the C major chord. Now, for now, we'll just start on the 3rd measure. So coordination, I talk about that a lot. And a lot of it's because I work with adult students. It is harder to coordinate, as many of you may know who are adult students watching this video. It is harder to coordinate the older you get. But it can be done. You just maybe have to think about it in new and creative, inventive ways. And one of the things I talk about is focusing on the places where both hands hit together and focus on the fingers. The notes help too, of course. And what I mean by notes, like when you have same notes, like right here, we have C in the left hand and C in the right hand. But what you have to focus on is the left hand is on the 5th finger, the right hand is on the 4th finger. And if it doesn't feel good, if it feels weak, if something just doesn't feel right, make it strong. I'll say this again and again. And sometimes that means holding on to it longer, playing it louder, playing it heavier. We're making things that are weak or don't just come naturally stronger. So you may hold this and not worry about rhythm. And that's kind of what we're going to do as we put the hands together. So that's your first measure, 3rd measure, excuse me. The 4th measure, notice you come in on E in the left hand with the C in the right hand. And the next measure, you're still tied in the right hand when you hit that C in the bass clef. Then you have rests, so make sure you lift. A lot of times people will just keep holding the left hand. You got to observe the rest. And if you catch yourself not lifting, make a mark, circle those quarter rests, draw a line, a vertical line after that C, something will remind you to lift. Now, when you've lifted that left hand, don't come off the keyboard either. You're going to continue with the B in the right hand, C, next measure. So all these notes are by themselves, of course. When you go to the last measure, your right hand doesn't move. Your fourth finger's still on C. You have to move your left hand 5 up to E. So make note of that. It says fifth finger, but it's not C. Move it up to E. So now you have E and C together, and then A in the left hand, middle C. Measure 8, you're going to play the right hand C again, so it doesn't move, and second finger on A in the left hand. We're tied into measure 9, and then you rest, and it's only the right hand. Now, this is tricky. Measure, what was that? The fourth measure, 9, 10, 11. F and A, you need to move your fingers. Your fifth finger needs to move up in the left hand to F. Remember, you're in the F chord position. Your second finger is probably on the A, but you got to move your third finger to the A. So F with 5, A with 3. Next measure, you got to move the fourth finger to A in the right hand. You're still on A, or you're on A, excuse me, in the left hand, so 2 A's. Next measure, and then we rest. Rest in the last measure. Measure 15, your thumb's on E in the right hand. You got to move your fifth finger down to E in the left hand. So E's together. And that E in the right hand staying tied for 3 measures. Now, when you get to the fourth measure, move your third finger in the right hand to E. And then you got G. And move your fifth finger down to D in the left hand. For the next measure, you stay on G. So this moment, you've got fifth fingers in both hands. 5 on D in the left, 5 on G in the right. Next measure, F in the left hand, D in the right hand. So if you've noticed to this point, all the hits, and when I say the hits, in both hands are always on beat 1. When they occur, sometimes there's ties. When they occur, so far, it's only on beat 1. Use that to your advantage when coordinating. Say, oh, so far now, if they occur at the same time, it's always beat 1. So we're on the third measure from the end on the third line, F and D. When you hit the E in the right hand on beat 3, you rest in the left hand. Now you're back down on D, down to D in the left hand in the next measure. Your thumb comes under in the right hand to F. F on beat 2 in the left hand, and then B and G. That's the first time we have a hit on beat something other than beat 1. Last measure, fourth finger on F in the left hand, third finger on A. And then B in the right hand, you rest in the left hand. Measure 23, now we have hits on all 3 beats. E and C, fifth fingers. A and B, second and fourth finger. And then C and A, thumb and third finger. And even into measure 24, second finger both hands, B and G. And now the right hand is tied into that measure. Then you're going to rest the left hand, third finger, and the right hand moves to E. Your left hand 5 moves down to D, and we're at the first ending. 5 and 4, it should be right there on the F and G. And that's tied. And then second to last measure on that line. Drop down to 5 on G. You're resting in the right hand until beat 3. When you hit the A in the right hand, pop off that G. In the next measure, move second finger up to F. Your thumb is still on A. And then G and B. And then C's at the bottom line, measure 31. Fifth finger, third finger. So C, and then it's tied. And And then you repeat back to measure 3. And when you do that, you're already here in the left hand, but you got to jump up. Remember that jump? Okay, so that covers everything up through the end of the first ending. Let's jump down to the second ending. So, let's see. When you do this, you want to make sure you understand where you're coming from with your fingering. So your left hand at measure 23 was 5 on E, 24. So your last thing you played in the left hand at measure 25 was the A with your third finger. And then you're going to have E and C with your right hand. So when you go to the second ending, 5 and 4 is already there in F and G. But your fifth finger's got to jump down to D. Okay, so there we are in the second ending. It's really just like the first ending, isn't it? So it's the same thing. Next measure, A, hit the F and the G again, so it's not tied. Like it was in the first ending. Here it is tied. Jump down to 5 on G. And then the last 3 measures, you got to jump up in the left hand, 2 on F, drop to your thumb on A in the right hand, and then G and B, and then you end it on C's. Now, before we go to page 26, let's do both hands together slowly with the count. So before you really even get into this part of the lesson, you want to make sure everything's coordinated. It doesn't have to be perfectly in rhythm. That's what we're going to do now. And when we do put it in rhythm, if you find this is challenging for you, of course, going slow when you start putting it in rhythm, slow enough that you can think about everything and that you feel good about coordinating. But you definitely want to go through the hands together and highlight sort of mentally where those places are where both hands are playing. And especially with the fingering, because it's a little tricky. And especially in those places where you're on a note, like your thumb's on G at measure 10 on the second line, and you have an A, and you just go to A with your next finger. Sometimes that makes sense, but here in this song, you got to actually move your third finger to the A, and then again to the fourth finger on the A, because it's setting you up. If you don't do that, you're going to get stuck. You're going to run out of fingers for the notes that are coming up after that. So remember, fingering never makes sense in the moment as much as it does moving ahead. Fingering is about setting you up for where you're going. All right, so at the beginning, and I'm going to do the intro. So that means 4 times through the left hand, so you can get a feel for that. But we've got our outline of our C chord. We've got our 4 on C. So a little count off. And then we're going to go through this first page. I'm going to go ahead and do it with the repeat. So I'll do the first ending and then repeat down to the second ending. So 1, 2, 3. And then it repeats. I said we were going to do both endings in the repeat, but I decided no. I decided when I started playing, I was like, I'm going really slow. And just for time's sake, just thought, nah, I'm not going to do the repeat. we'll jump down to the second inning in just a minute. I should have told you guys. I said I'm not gonna count while I'm playing. I wish I had a glass of water. My throat's a little dry and I forgot my water. But anyways, I just would have been struggling to count out loud. So hopefully you could feel that beat. It gets a little tricky when you have the dotted half notes, like at measure 16, 17 on the third line, third measure. But just keep that steady beat going. I hope you felt it. But when you have long holds, that's where it actually gets tricky, especially when you're going really, really slow. Let's drop down to the second inning. I'm going to start just right on it so we can finish up the page. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. At least that much I could count out loud just fine. And I really wanted to because there's 3 measures of that second inning that have long holds. So again, that's where it gets a little tricky. Moving on to page 26. So at 26, I think you're going to be, I think both hands are already positioned. Yeah, 3's on C. Yeah, everything's already positioned. So you got 3 on E in the left hand, 2 on B in the right hand. Now, for the first line and a half, the right hand's only playing dotted half notes. That means it's only playing on beat 1. There are some ties in the left hand, but regardless of whether the left hand's playing or holding, you're always playing for these first several measures on beat 1 in the right hand. So we got E and B. Next measure, we got G and E. And then we got 3 notes. Now you might say, ooh, that doesn't sound right. That's wrong. No, it's right. It's right. It sounds a little off. You're right. But when you go slow in a song, and notice this part says faster, but when you go slow and you hold things, you end up hearing some of the more, what's the word I'm looking for? Darn it. I'm drawing a blank. More dissonant sounds. Music is not always happy sounds. In fact, the more dissonance music has, the nicer it sounds when it resolves, right? So this actually sounds really dissonant. Then it kind of resolves right there when it goes to the next measure. So when it goes to that A, it resolves. Now when you're going faster, actually it's still held a little bit, isn't it? So quite a bit of dissonance, but that's okay. It does resolve. So by the time you get to the fourth measure, you're still tied on the C and the F. Then you move to A on beat 1, and then G in the left hand on beat 2, and then F, and then you repeat. E in the left hand, B in the right hand. And the next measure is a repeat. And the next measure with the 3 notes, 46, measure 46, second line goes to the A again, followed by G, F, and then once again, E and B. And this measure. Now, the fourth measure here, that's different. C, down to C in the left hand, E in the right hand. And then it's a little tricky here. D and F sharp, D in the right hand. So both D's are with the fourth finger. That's helpful. And you got F sharp with the second finger, so. And then move to middle C. Next measure, you're back to D in the right hand, slide to 2 in the left hand to G. Last measure, D's in both hands, but it's 5 in the left, 4 in the right. Measure 53, you're tied in the right hand, 2 on G in the left hand. Measure 54, F sharp for 2 counts. On beat 3, jump to the third finger on G, rest in the left hand. The next measure, 4 on E, E and G in the right hand. Next measure, move down to D, still on E and G in the right hand. Move down again to C sharp, and then G in the left hand, B in the right hand. And remember, this is going to be a tie with that B on the first time. So next measure, down to C sharp, And then move your fifth finger down to A in the right hand. You're off in the left hand. 4 on G, and then move up, last measure, 5 on D in the left hand, thumb, and third finger, D and F sharp in the right hand. Measure 60 on the next line. You're still down on D, but C sharp and F sharp. And then rest on beat 3 in the right hand. Back to D and F sharp and D in the left hand. 2 on G, but fifth finger on A, not B. And you're saying, ooh, that doesn't sound right. You're correct. It doesn't sound right. But it resolves. And that next measure down to D. Now the next measure, fourth measure. Fourth finger should be on E in the left hand. G on beat 2. And then move your thumb up to G for beat 3 in the right hand. You got B and G. Next measure, 5 down on D. G and B in the right hand. B, G and B on beat 3. And then down to C sharp. Still G and B in the right hand. And then 4 on E, 2 on A, and 4 on C sharp. And then the last line of the page, down to D, with your fifth finger up to F sharp and D in the right hand. Now remember the next measure, in measure 68, you got 3 on F sharp in the left hand. Your F sharp thumb is tied in the right hand. Move your second finger to A. And then that stays tied as your left hand continues with A, and then the next measure, D, and then A, and the next measure, off in the right hand, F sharp. And then, remember, everything repeats from the beginning. So for time, I'm not going to go through the rest of the piece until we get to, I'm going to go probably first, second ending in just a minute on page 27. But where it says a tempo, right where we stopped, we're going to, for time's sake, not go through all that because it's all a repeat through measure 94 of page 27. Now I'm going to go back to the top of 26 and do it with the counting, but I'm actually only going to give you a count off, and it'll go slow like I did on the first page, so we're just going to feel that steady beat. I'll try to count where there's some long holds in both hands. I'll do that. So at the very, very top. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we stop right here. All right, let's jump over now. Page 27. Let's go to the first ending and just review that. That first ending actually is the exact same thing. We mentioned this earlier in the video. It's actually a repeat of the second ending on page 25. But let's just start right on it. I'm going to play just that first ending for you, just as a little review. I'll give you a little count off. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you repeat back to the top of page 26. You play through a second time. When you get to measure 94 on page 27, that's when you drop down to the second ending. So let's look at the second ending. Just like the first ending, you have 5 on D in the left hand, F and G with 4 and 5 in the right hand. So that's the same. And the next measure is the same. Next measure is the same. But then it's a little different. You jump to F and A, right, with 1 and 3. 4 on B, and then make sure you're back in the C position in the left hand, E and C in the right hand. That's basically all that's different. Well, then you got this at the end here. So here, you hit this C, second to last measure, but you move up in the right hand to this E and C, and then that's tied, and then you drop down for that final C in the left hand. So 101, measure 101, the whole bottom line with the count, goes like this: 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it'll slow down there, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end. Now you notice, and there's other places in the piece you could do this, but notice that measure, the fourth measure, 102, 3, 104. The left hand is resting there. Now your left hand just hit this 5 on G. When I get to measure 104, watch what happens when I get to measure 104 with my left hand. Watch this. I'm starting at 101, 102, 103. Now watch this. Do you see what I did during that rest? I went ahead and moved my left hand up. So it's right there, ready to go in measure 105. So we talk about this sometimes. There's a great opportunity for that. Now, at the first, you might be, that's tough, but once you've learned the notes in your right hand, you've got a whole measure of rest. So as long as you know from 5 on G to 5 on C, I would recommend doing that, because you don't want to be down here the whole time and then move in the last minute. You can do that, but you take your chances with the music getting choppier, or maybe you miss that jump. But you could do a smoother, easier jump in the previous measure. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about pedaling. So let me go ahead and pull out the pedal cam. All right, so I got my pedal camera up, and you can see my right foot here is resting on the right pedal, the damper sustain pedal. Good habit to be in. You never want to be completely off to the side. Unless for a long period of time, you might, in a piece where there's no pedaling, you could do that. But the one part of the foot you never want to release off the ground is the heel. So you want to be able to move back and forth freely, and up and down freely. And you certainly don't want to do that. So you want your heel down no matter what. You want that fixed. But a lot of times I'll just rest my foot there. And I have big, heavy boots on right now. So you may have to... if you have big, heavy shoes like me, you might find yourself saying, oh, that gets a little tiring. Or if you're barefoot, then not too bad. Of course, if you're barefoot, your pedals might be cold. But that's another story. Anyways, so we're at the beginning. There's pedal right away. So you can actually already have your foot down on the pedal before you even start playing. So it's not like you have to come down and down on the first note together. At the beginning of a piece, you can already be down because you're not holding anything, right? So notice our bit of pedaling, and we're gonna start at the beginning, and I'm just gonna play through slowly. I'm not gonna give a count off, but show you where we're pedaling. So the first 4 measures, or first 2 measures, excuse me, repeated, your pedal stays down, and the reason for that is it's a C chord. It's the same chord. Now they do want you pedaling when the right hand comes in. So as soon as you remember how to pedal, when your hands come down on the keys, your foot comes up and right back down on it. And it has to be back down before you hit the second note. If you don't, you've lost the first note. You're supposed to hold it, right? So hopefully at this point everyone understands and feels comfortable enough with pedaling. If you have questions about pedaling, if you're still uncertain, go check out, if you haven't already, the Alfred's Basic Adult Piano Course Lesson Book Level 1 on my channel. One of the lessons, it's called Harp Song. Forgive me, I don't know the lesson number right now. offhand, but it's called Harp Song, and that's the very first lesson in pedaling, and we go into extreme detail on pedaling in that lesson. There's one later on in the book too that goes into even a little bit further detail, basically micromanaging pedaling. But once you've gotten those 2 lessons down, you've learned the concept. So now this is a little more challenging in this piece because you're off the pedal for larger periods of time. You can see that in the upcoming last two measures. Let's see, third and second measure from the end of the first line. So like I said, at the beginning, you're holding your foot down on the pedal. And when the right hand comes in, pop off as the notes go down and your foot's back down. Next measure. And then here, as soon as you hit this C, that means come off. And notice we're off until the last measure. Then you're down. Measure 8. Measure 9, pop off as soon as you hit that E, stay off, and then back down, and then second measure from the end, pop off. So it's a very similar pattern throughout this first page. I messed up my finger. And then measure 15, we're down. Now pedal here, and one more time. And the reason for that is the notes are kind of close in the left hand there, so they get blurry. Now, 15, 16, 17, measure 18, fourth measure in. Hit that E by itself, so that means you're off the pedal. And the next measure, you're down on the pedal. And then you come off, and then down. And then the last measure, come off. And then 23, down. And then 24, pop off and back on. 25, off and back on. And then measure 26, you're off and you stay off till the first ending. Now you're down, up and down. Next measure, off, and then down. Measure 31, up and down. And then you stay down. Then repeat, you'll come up and down. So it's really up and down. So when you see those little triangles, like right there at the beginning of the piece on measure 3, that little triangle, that means you're up and down, up and down. So that means when you come down on the notes and on the keyboard, you're already down your foot. When you come down the notes, your foot pops up and then right back down. That's the up, down. But when you get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th measure and you see the bracket ends, that means as soon as you hit that note in the left hand, you're off. And you can rest your foot like I'm doing, but you're not going back down on the pedal until the beginning of the next bracket, which starts at the beginning of the last measure. Then you're down. And there's no triangle, so you're just going to stay down all the way through measure 9. So it's understanding the different types of pedal markings. The little triangle means it's just an up-down movement. But the end of the bracket means you come off the pedal. In other words, you hold it up. You don't have to come off like all the way and move your foot. Like I said, you can keep resting it. But that's basically the idea. So there's not really much. I could spend the time going through the whole piece with you, but that's basically it. It's just there's 2 concepts to the pedaling. There's 2 different ideas. Like I said, the up, down, or just coming up and then staying off until the new bracket begins. So if you look at top of page 26, first 2 measures, you're down. So you don't do anything in the next measure, but the 3rd measure, come off and stay off, and then you're back down. But when you get to like measure 60, it's very busy starting at measure 60. So it's down. Next measure would be up, down. And the next measure, same thing, up, down. And it does that every single measure on this line. So you see, every single measure had that up, down, up, down. So that's the tricky thing about the pedaling with this piece is it's not consistent. It's not like every single measure is just up, down, up, down. But you've got these breaks in there too. So that's a little more tricky, actually. But like I said, it's the same concept. It's the same idea again and again and again. Now, what I want to do before I play the whole piece is go through and look at the dynamics. Now, this piece is a slow piece, but it flows. It's supposed to be very flowing, very smooth. And that's why there is pedal to smoothen the piece out so it's not so choppy. Notice at the beginning, the left hand's mezzo piano. That's great. When your right hand comes in, though, rule of thumb, your right hand in this case is the melody. Always make it louder. So your left hand, pretty soft, but when that right hand comes in, make it mezzo forte. Let it sing. Now, that's easier said than done. And some of you may have already worked on other pieces and other lessons of mine where we've worked on keeping that left hand soft, making that left hand loud. If this is still a new concept to you, yes, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of practice, but just be very light and be very heavy. You can overdo it, and that's a good thing. You can be as light as you want and then bang this out. But the concept is I'm very heavy and I'm very soft. It doesn't have to be pretty to start getting that concept down. You'll get it more finely tuned over time. The first page is all mezzo piano, so pretty soft. It doesn't go anywhere. Now, when you get to 26, page 26, notice faster, mezzo forte. So things start moving ahead a little bit. A little more aggression to the music. And that will make more sense when you hear it coming in from the previous page, which I'll play in just a moment. Now, at the bottom of the page, the end of the fourth line, notice a crescendo, second to last measure. Then we're at the bottom line, measure 67, we're at a forte. And then a retard, so we're getting softer and slower. And then we're back to the beginning. So it transitions from that louder, faster, back to the slower, softer tempo. You'll do that, of course, again on the repeat. And then the only thing different is the second ending at the very end. Notice the last four measures of that second ending have a retard and getting slower. I mean, getting softer. The retard is getting slower. So slowing down, softer, and the pedal's held down for all of this. Yeah, so if you're very, very gentle with that low C, it's very, very effective. So that basically covers it all. So now I'm going to play the entire piece through for you with the pedal. I'll do the repeats, and you can hear the whole piece, how it's supposed to sound. I'll give you a little count off, and I'm not going to go fast because it's a slow piece. All right, so here we go. So 1, 2, 3. There it is. So it's a very, very nice arrangement. It's very pretty. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if I'll notice. Well, I noticed when I did it, of course. But going back and looking at the video, when I flipped page 26, I hit the camera, or I should say, I hit my microphone. So, anyways, that threw me off. It distracted me. So I didn't get to do quite what I wanted to the first time through page 26, but on the repeat, I had it a little bit more where I wanted it to go. A little bit faster, moving ahead. So that being said, page 26 is probably going to be your hardest section. There's a lot more notes. It's the only place where there's accidentals, the sharps, especially on that fourth line. More active pedaling there as well, and it's getting louder and louder in building. So it's a busier page for sure, busier section. So that's probably going to be your trickiest page. And of course, page 27 is mostly a repeat of page 25. All right, that will do it. Another long lesson, but a long piece, lots going on. This one should keep you busy for a little while. And if it takes a while to master, that is okay. This is a little bit harder. Like I said, a lot more going on in this one. A lot of layers to this piece, right hand, left hand notes, of course, but the rhythms, putting it together, a lot of fingering, a lot of interesting fingering, navigation, and then of course the pedaling is a little unique as well. So even though there's some repetition, there's still a lot going on. So this one may take you a little while, and that's okay. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I know I didn't go through all the pedal in its entirety, but just to save on time, because like I said, it is one of those two concepts. You're either up and down when you see the triangle, or you're just off until the pedal resumes with a new pedal bracket. So again, appreciate you guys so much for following. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. And that way you can see all the new latest uploads and postings I have, new videos and lessons all the time. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.